pass the floor, as I said, to the Swedish ambassador, who will make the remarks in the name of the incoming chairperson in office for the year 2021. You have the floor, Your Excellency. I don't see you, but I'm sure you are somewhere. Okay.
Thank you.
Now you came out all red, beautiful, the color of our flag.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister Rama. I read this statement on behalf of the incoming chairperson in office, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Sweden, Mr. Ann Linde. Excellencies, first of all, I want to thank Prime Minister Rama for the professional organization of this unusual Ministerial Council meeting. I would also like to thank him for having guided the OSCE through what has been one of the most challenging years for a chairperson in office in the history of our organization. A year ago, in Bratislava, few had taken note of the news about the previously unknown virus, which has started spreading in China. And I dare say that none of us predicted the dramatic and tragic consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has unfolded since. It is with a heavy heart that despite efforts by all our countries to contain the disease, the numbers of dead globally is now fast approaching 1.5 million. I offer my heartfelt condolences for all the losses and human suffering that the pandemic has meant for all our countries. Thanks to the efforts of the Chairman in Office Rama and his team, the accountability and decision-making bodies have been upheld with only small interruptions since the beginning of the pandemic. Through this solution, it was also possible for me as chair of the Mediterranean Partnership Group to conduct a successful ministerial conference in November. Although there is hope that the next year could be better, the organization will continue to benefit from these solutions as the pandemic will continue to affect us also in 2021. This is part of the Albanian legacy on which we will build also after the pandemic is under control. One of the most important results from this Ministerial Council is that we could come together to appoint new heads of the autonomous institutions and the Secretary General. This was significant given the important role of the OSCE institutions to support all of us to live up to our commitments. It also allows us to devote much needed political energy to the crisis and conflict on which the organization must focus. With the new executive leadership, the OSCE can live up to its high standards. Excellencies, I look forward to presenting the Swedish chairpersonship program in January, outlining our priorities and activities for next year. Already today, I want to highlight a few issues that would be of particular importance for my tenure as chair. We have decided to focus on 3 areas where we believe that we can make the greatest contribution to strengthen security in our region. We will also ensure that our priorities are reflected in all activities led by the Chairman in Office. By doing so, we hope to inspire change on the ground based on the already existing acquis. First, we want to strengthen the respect for European security order. To avoid any confusion on what we mean with this phrase, it goes back to our common commitments in the Helsinki Final Act of 1975 and the Paris Charter of 1990. Second, we want to uphold the OSCE concept of comprehensive security in all 3 dimensions. Political and economic security, human rights, democracy and equality are interrelated and interconnected. Here I want to underline the essential role that the organization's autonomous institutions, the Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights, the representative of the freedom of the media, and the High Commissioner for National Minorities play to support participating states in fulfilling their commitments in the human dimension. Third, we want to do our part to contribute to resolving the conflicts in our region in line with the two previous priorities. The OSCE has many tools at its disposal to support these efforts. And as CIO, I want to do my part in directing them towards sustainable conflict resolution. Among the conflicts in the OSCE region, the conflict in and around Ukraine remains a serious challenge to the European security order. As chair, Sweden will seek to contribute to the ongoing efforts in the Normandy format and the trilateral contact group for a sustainable political solution in line with the OSCE principles and commitments. This must be done with full respect for the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence of Ukraine within its internationally recognized borders. The SMM must be able to conduct its mandate without restrictions throughout Ukraine. In a similar way, we will play an active role in the Geneva international discussions and the related incident prevention and response mechanisms regarding Georgia, as well as in support of the Transnistrian settlement process. As chair of the OSCE and a permanent member of the Minsk Group, Sweden will support the efforts of the Minsk Group co-chairs for peaceful, comprehensive, and sustainable resolution of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, including through the personal representative of the chairperson in office. The escalation into war and the heavy death toll have underlined the risks inherent in the protracted conflicts in the OSCE region. Although a new agreement on ceasefire has been reached, the conflict is not resolved and will require our continued engagement. Resolving these conflicts will remain a top priority for the OSCE, as they pose grave risks to our common security. We will continue to call for the respect for international humanitarian law, back measures to mitigate the humanitarian consequences of conflict, and work for an inclusive approach with all relevant actors, such as the UN, the EU, and civil society organizations. Furthermore, we will consistently work to uphold the OSCE's comprehensive concept of security and the inclusion of and meaningful participation of women in all phases of the conflict cycle, as well as the Women, Peace and Security agenda. This is vital for the successful prevention and mitigation of conflicts, as well as to consolidate peace when hostilities have ended. We also know that democratic societies where good governance is the norm see peaceful development and less corruption to a higher degree than others. Therefore, our support for strengthening democratic processes and the right to freedom of opinion and expression will remain steadfast, also in the role as a chair. Our chairpersonship program is now being finalized based on extensive consultations with capitals and in Vienna. I'm fully committed to serving this organization for the coming year in the interest of our shared security. But I cannot do this alone. In order for any progress to be made, I will need the support of all of you. Without participating states' political will to see our challenges being resolved, no level of commitment will ever be enough. I believe that there is scope to make progress during next year. The pandemic has given us the opportunity to approach our challenges with a new perspective. Let us use this opportunity for the good of our region and for the benefit of our people. Thank you very much.